Welcome to the Mindset by Design podcast with your host, the expert Andy Murphy, where you will learn the tips, tricks, and strategies he teaches his world-class clients to give you the skills to dominate any business.
What's going on, Mindset by Design crew, and welcome to episode 287. Hope you're amazing as always. I'll always say it. And speaking of amazing, I'm so excited to have my microphone back. Do you know what I mean? It's been a while. I've been traveling with this. It's the same make. It's a Yeti. It's a Blue, if you know that brand. And there's all different sizes, the travel ones and stuff. And I've been traveling for like 5 months solid, right? So I've had this other microphone and it just isn't as good. I miss this bad boy. I've had this one for years. I've actually had about 4 of these different ones over the years. But anyway, that's me just being nerdy around microphones. Sometimes you got to do it, right? So speaking of awesome things, what awesome things are going on in your life right now? Do you know? Because the world's crazy still, you know, and then I'm going to give you the date. We're actually on November the 19th, 2020, right? So yeah, things are still crazy. It's been a whole year of craziness, but do you know, wait, there's two ways that we can decide to go. And there's so many different thoughts around this, and we can go into conspiracy, go into this, and it's all irrelevant. Because the truth is, you are always going to be there. Does that make sense? You are always going to be there. Things will come, things will go. People will come, people will go. Presidents will come, presidents will go, right? Opportunities will come, opportunities will go. Money will come, and money will come again. And the truth is, there's always 2 decisions. And it's nothing, I'm not teaching rocket science here. But understand there is always 2 decisions. We can go into weakness, right? We go into fear, we go into attachment, grabbing on to something that might not even be in alignment with us. And if it is in alignment, it's okay. It's going to happen, right? And so when we can make these in either decision, either going full on ahead and building your future in life, or hesitating, pausing, just taking your foot off the gas, seeing what happens, buying into the fear, buying into all of the doubt, the self-questioning. But the truth is, the rich are still getting very rich. Do you know that the stock market's at an all-time high? Yeah, an all-time high. You have businesses crumbling all over the place, yet the financial world has never been better. Think about that. Are you in the right business for a start, right? But also just look at that. There's 2 choices. So the economy is being destroyed. Maybe there's a new economy coming. Maybe there's a way now we have to adapt and change and evolve and see what's next. Does that make sense? Because if we do that, then we're always striving forwards. We're always in growth mode. We're always building on where we are now. And you might go, well, from a spiritual aspect, Andy, aren't we supposed to just be still? Yeah. But being still means you won't move forwards, right? So there's a combination. It's a whole different topic, but we're working with neurology, we're working with chemicals, brain chemicals, working with nervous systems. We're working with actual universal frequency. We're working with so many different things, right? And we have the neuro-linguistic program, the NLP, the neuroscience to back all these things up. But the truth is, growth mode. That's it. So whether the chaos is going to continue forever or it ends today, right? It doesn't matter because your life, well, you've got to grow it, right? There's no other choice. You have to move forwards. And so if things have to pivot and change and evolve and expand, good, good. Because it means that you're always going to be safe if you learn these skills. But if we get stuck in thinking about things from the past or mistakes or looking at the noise that's around us without focusing on truly what our intuition is building us towards, then guess what? You're just going to be in constant chaos. And the truth is, it doesn't matter if all the laws in the world changed and said, you can do whatever you want. Well, they are, by the way. But if that was the decision from the world government today, would you still go and build your business? Would you do what you're doing for your income? Would you be on the path towards your future? Maybe, maybe not, right? So it always is a decision. But the other decision is fear, right? And that's where so many people are going into now. And it's for many different reasons. We're talking about the media. What are you consuming, right? What are you watching? What are you putting in your head? And all of these things are going to create a certain vibration or a certain belief system or a certain mental structure or mental program or unconscious program, or it's going to produce certain chemicals. It's going to adjust your perspective or your filter system to experience a very specific reality. That reality is 100% changeable. Right? So do you think that dude sitting on a mountain right now meditating who has no access to a phone or the internet knows even what's happening or cares? No. That's the answer. No, they don't. What they care about is that moment, being there and living their life. And that's what you've got to do too. And that's what you've got to understand about business, right? Before we jump into today's episode, what you got to understand about business is that it is just a reflection of where you are in your own internal growth. That's it. That's it, right? So what I do, train, teach, is mental performance. This is not self-help. I don't work with people in general, years ago for sure, but I've done this for 18 years all over the world, right? So mental performance, what that means is being able to control your mind, emotions, thoughts in any situation, no matter what is going on, and you can always step up to that next level. The pressure is so intense, everyone else is crumbling. You have a mental foundation, technique, skills, yes, but also a software that's built into your brain, which means then, guess what? You are going to be bulletproof. And that's mental performance, right? So big difference. But what I want you to understand is mental performance is also talking about these two decisions. Because what we're talking about today's episode, what that means is that we're going to be looking at what the structure of the brain is, what is making you afraid, how to overcome this, and then we're going to go into lots of other cool stuff. Sound good? Good. Good. It's about 30 minutes long. It's from the 8-Figure Thinker training, which is part of the FireMind experience now. So the FireMind experience is what you're going to remember and you're going to want to be a part of for sure. Why? Because it's badass. And it's where entrepreneurs ignite together and build businesses. But we're building businesses from the inside out. See the difference? You got it, right? Conversations for another time. It's coming. We're close. So today's episode, you're going to love it. We're going to jump into a second, and it's going to take you on a bit of a journey. So you're probably going to want to share this with someone, for sure. But you're probably going to want to listen to this a couple of times. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, then yes, there is a full training which you can see with all the slides and everything. So badass. If you're audio in it, listen to the video. If you're video in it, listen to the audio. So what else? Well, make sure that you're heading over to the show notes, but it depends where you're listening to this, right? The show notes are below the video. The show notes on iTunes or the podcast app are if you scroll down. If you are on Spotify or anywhere else, I want you to have a little look around because you've actually got to go to the specific episode and then you scroll down and the information's there. But go to andymurphy.biz or hang out with me on the Mindset by Design Facebook incubator group, and guess what you can do? Yeah, find out everything that you need to. We've got some awesome things coming out. I'm really excited about it, and so should you. What else? can always contact me, Andy at mindsetbydesign.co. What else? Nothing. You go and kick ass, and I will see you at the end of the show. Make sure you got your notepad and pen, because you're gonna love this. All on the same page? Yeah, I know there's a lot of information, but whatever, right? This is what it is. And you need to know this, because I just want you to have the most incredible life, have the incredible mind, and have the most incredible business. And I know how to create it for you. So keep coming with me. Do we need to shake it out? Good. Keep focusing and keep focusing with me, because we don't need to go through that, because I've already covered that. That's the unconscious, conscious mind, the nervous system. Beautiful. I've just spoke about that. We are boxed in by the boundary conditions of our thinking. And that's what I'm going to talk about right now. Let's recover this very, very quickly. So we do get boxed in by the boundary conditions of our thinking. And imagine this as a box. I know we're in a small little screen. I get that, but that's why I'm going to do this. We get boxed in by the boundary conditions of our thinking. Then consciously, what do? We make a decision, right? Not an unconscious change. We make a conscious decision. Come on, let's do this. Let's give it everything I got. Consciously, right? So what happens is, inside this frame, inside this box, we work our asses off. We push, hit this wall, this boundary. Right. That's where things generally stop. Because we don't have things designed on the outside of this boundary, that boundary gets reinforced and we start bouncing around in here. And that's where we get frustrated. That's where we get annoyed. And that's what causes the self-sabotage. Then consciously, let's do this again. Every time you repeat this, your unconscious mind does not know what's on outside of this boundary. So this kicks in. Your amygdala kicks in, okay? And that is your fight or flight response, which we're going to cover in a second, right? So when the amygdala kicks in because it's afraid, because it doesn't know what's on the outside of this boundary, then what happens is it just reinforces this box. It reinforces and begins to justify what we justify. So my definition, or my little story around this, depending on what your beliefs are, but it's like going back to the caves. Sucks in this cave. Yeah, it might suck in this cave, but what's outside? I don't know. Some amazing things. Some scary things. I don't know how to get there. Let's just be safe and stay in the cave. Right. But understand, that's just a trick. It's just your brain tricking you, right? To making sure, are you really safe? Are you really safe? Are you sure? Well, we are. So the amygdala, okay? So what is the amygdala? The amygdala is the part of our threat system. It's the alarm. Its job is to keep us safe by alerting us to danger. It does this by setting off alarm in our body by triggering the fight or flight response and gets us ready to act, right? Gets us ready to, are we going in or are we going out? We're going in or we're going out, right? That's what the amygdala's job is. One of the unconscious mind's default settings is, well, really one thing. It's to keep you safe. And it does it in some crazy, insane ways, right? But that's its job. The hippocampus, which it's connected to, helps us store and remember information. It's like the librarian. It tags our memories with information about where and when they occurred. So when you take you back to a memory and as a trauma, understand that the amygdala is lighting up. There was danger there, and the hippocampus is showing you, yes, there was, okay? So once we start to begin to understand, and when the fear kicks in, when we're stepping for expansion, we go back to these three stages of the brain, right? So the brain stem is where the amygdala is. And understand that is the oldest part. And understand that it's going, are you safe? Are you safe? Are you safe? Are you safe? Right? the limbic system, the emotional state kicks in. It gives it panic, 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 panic. Then your prefrontal cortex, the lobes kick in and go, no, it's just a stick. Chill out. And then your talks to the amygdala, and the amygdala goes, oh, we're good. We can switch off again and relax. Does that make sense? So understand, when you start to get scared of fear or the what might happen, understand, it's just your amygdala trying to keep you inside of this box. Just like Einstein said, we get boxed in by the boundary conditions of our thinking. So what we need to do, and that's what level 2 is about, is designing what's on the outside of this box so we can expand that boundary. Do you remember? Cool. So let's keep going, because you got to ask yourself some powerful questions. Up to this point, right here, right now, it doesn't matter what level of success you've had, what is the driver behind it? And I'm going to talk about what a driver is and what I've created and call a driver in level 2 when we start talking about states and peak states, mental states, alter egos. But right now, I want you to really be honest. What is that driver behind you, right? Are you building your business but coming from fear? Right? Looking over your shoulder. I don't ever go back there. I can't let that happen. No, 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 right? And that's what motivates you each day. But you're waking up each day, with the amygdala going off and anxiety. That's not good. I want you to understand that the driver needs to be fight, right? And that's what we're going to talk about in a second, because I want you to understand that the flight mechanism is going to constantly tell your brain, your body, your performance that you're in danger. And when you're in danger, are you calm and in flow? No, of course you're not, right? You're going to make erratic decisions, and you're going to trade wrong, and you're going to not sell, and you're going to get scared about looking for the clothes, and you get the idea? So what we got to switch you to is a different one. But there's a third one I've been teaching for many years, and again, you've gone through the webinar, you know this. It's this. It's freeze response. So we have fight or flight, but the main one for most people is freeze, right? And that's where people get analysis paralysis. They take on too much information and they don't apply it. Or they sit there and they trick themselves into the taking on information because they feel like they're taking action. But you're not. You're freezing. So before you jump down this course, maybe that's where you were. But we're different now, right? So as I said to you before, what is the truth to what you've been doing, right? Is it flight? Is it freeze? Because this is what we have to switch on today. And today's level 1 is about one thing. What is it? Making a decision, right? To really play full out for the rest of the levels and really play full out for the rest of your life. So what do we have to switch on? What is it? The fight. That's it. We got to switch that fight on. And in the simulator, we're going to actually build that, and you're going to, I'll show you some more stuff in a bit. The simulator is really cool. So again, are you afraid of success? I don't know, but you do. And we're going to break past that now. Because have you been letting fear rule your decisions? Right? Have you been expanding to that next stage in your business? Or have you been wanting to, but don't know how? So you get stuck and then bounce around in here getting frustrated. We have to change that now. So you've got to make a new decision. Good? Cool. So again, the reason is many psychologists want to know why, right? Why are you depressed? Why did that go wrong? Why? Why did that person say that to you? Why do you feel like that? It's important. It's great to know, but not to focus on. Because then what a classical therapist, psychologist, or coach will do is they'll take you back to a root cause until you see a different perspective. They'll spin you in it. And the challenge with that is, well, what did I say about neural nets being like a muscle? Right? You're building a pattern that you don't want. If I took you back to a trauma and then we just kept reliving the trauma, how are you going to feel? If you hate horror films, right? And I put a horror film on twice a day, every day, do you think you'd be in a happy place? No. So when people take people back to trauma, they don't understand that it's generally too early, okay? What I do is a different thing, and this is what we're going to be doing over the next 2 levels, and then level 3 is about doing some deletion, right? Getting rid of these old patterns. I build you forwards. Yeah, we make new decisions. We feel and experience the world a different way. We start to apply it. These neural nets are big, thick, and strong. This world-class you, this 8-figure thinkers dialed in and already becoming strong. Now, how does the world look? What's your beliefs, your attitudes, right? How do you talk to yourself? How do you value yourself being this new world-class you? Right. Now, if we went back and got rid of those old problems, how easy are these to get rid of? Way easier, right? If you went back thinking like you are now to those old problems, all you're going to get is traumatized and then build the wrong pattern. Does that make sense? This is something I do different to everybody else in the world. Now, there's other NLP experts out there like Tad James, which is a classic, right? But they don't do this, right? That's timeline therapy. But it's a mistake. And it's a mistake from my side. I'm not saying timeline therapy doesn't work, but if we don't build first, then we're not going to get the effective, sustained, long-lasting results. Okay? Trust me. Because I want to know how. I want to go back to memories or thoughts or feelings of how you do confidence, drive, passion, excitement, right? How you do the best version of you. What was that moment? Maybe it was in college or closing a deal and you just felt like world class on point. We all got those memories, don't we? And the thing about those, they're already in your nervous system. They're already in there. And because they're in there, we pull them out and we start layering them together and building them into your future. It's a completely different way. And if we build the muscle big and strong, then guess what? Oh, your nervous system resets, and that's how I create results, okay? So different to 99% of people in the world, but guess what? That's why you're on this course, and that's why I have all the testimonials I've got who I've got. So would you like to discover how to break and rebuild those old patterns? I thought you might. I thought you might, right? So we go back to this, still coming into this decision today, right? 2 mindsets. We have the growth and we have the fixed. To me, there's only one, growth. That's it, right? There's going to be a bonus footage in later levels, and it's going to show you how to get rid of procrastination forever. And it's around, Maslow's, it's around your 6 human needs. It's around lots of cool stuff. But first of all, none of them are going to work if we don't make a new decision today. And the new decision is, are we going to grow? Are we going to expand? Are we going to introduce that neuroplasticity? Or are we going to go fixed and be an old dog? Right? It's your choice. So what we're going to do is quickly here, I'm going to go through, but we have 2 different systems. We have the implicit and the explicit, okay? Now, the implicit, okay, is inside, the implicit inside, right? That's the unconscious mind. That's where we become very fast, involuntary, associative, and that's where you become automatic with the way you think, feel, and act, and how you respond with the world, okay? But what most people do is they just deal with the conscious mind. But the challenge with the conscious mind is it's slow, it's controlled, and it's following very specific rules. So what we need to do is to do both, right? When we can do both, you train the inner world and train the outer world through practical application as well as mental application. Then those 2 things together create alignment. So that's what active installation is about in a later section. So we're going to simulate it, then we're going to active installation, right? And the active installation means you're going out into the actual world and applying this awesome stuff. What's the point in keeping it at home and going, oh, I know what to do? Have you done it? Well, no, not yet. Well, this is about getting results, right? This is all we're about, is results. So it's time to start breaking these patterns with your new decision. So let's create this world-class beliefs, attitudes, and the life that you deserve, and the business and income stream that you're expanding into, okay? So, as I said, people use both of them. So I want to build that strength, that confidence, that happiness, that drive, that resilience. And when we can do that, when the fear is kicked in, because remember, the amygdala is always going to be there, right? When it kicks in, we have the ability to fire these anchors, step into state, and become that new version of us. Make sense? Awesome. So listen, look, we'll talk about internal dialogue a little later, but internal dialogue, the self-talk. But I just want you to look at this, right? What are you saying to yourself about yourself, your business, your future, your life? Because the chances of success are this. I won't. Well, that's what 9 to 5 people do. That's people in society. They won't, right? And then at least we're going a stage further into I can't. And then we're changing it to I don't know how. That's a good start. Confusion leads to clarity, okay? Confusion leads to clarity. So being confused is a good thing because we can move forward. I didn't know how. I wish I could. I want to. I might. I think I can. I am, right? So we're moving forwards. So let's talk about this, okay? The secret to changing reality and rapid results. I love this. I love this because this, the muscle and the state, and this, what I'm about to show you, the filter, those two things combined are my secrets to create any result in any single person. They really are. And you've got to understand it too, because your RAS, your reticular activating system. So what we're going to cover is the purpose and function, the filters, the switch in the brain's filter, and let's just get into it, right? Let's just get into it. So your reticular activating system. See, I stumble sometimes. So now that you understand that neural nets work just like a muscle, and repetitive building on that muscle or pattern will build and create the result desired or otherwise what we want, right? So what I want you to understand is that over here, our filter system, well, it just works like Gmail, okay? It absolutely does. And we actually take in over 2 million bits of information through our 5 senses every single second, okay? What happens is the kids when they're little, they're actually taking over 5 million bits of information through their 5 senses every single second. That's why they're so excited. It's like they're on an LSD trip or something. They're like, yeah, running around. It's because they're getting so much information blasted through them, right? But the challenge becomes it's too much for our conscious mind. So it has to go through a filter that works just like Gmail. Now, what happens with Gmail? Well, you get flooded with information like emails, and Gmail has its own filter system that you can actually change, right? You can play with things. But it comes in, Gmail goes in and deletes what it thinks you don't want, puts the rest in your spam folder, and what's left in your inbox is what it thinks you want to see. It's the same with your brain. It's exactly the same. We take in this information, 2 million bits a second, goes through a filter, which is called your reticular activating system. Reticular activating system, your filter, okay? So it filters just like Gmail. It distorts, generalizes, and deletes what it thinks you don't want from those over 2 million bits. And what appears in your outside world is only 146,000 bits from over 2 million. Think about that. Everything that you want, it exists. It really, really does. But I want to explain it a different way, right? So I'll just go a little bit deeper, actually. So what happens is as it goes through, what we see on our outside world is exactly what a filter system is set to and what muscle it's connected to, what version of you, right? Or fear or confidence or whatever, right? So the filter has inside of it, as you can see there, it has beliefs, attitudes, language, and values about the future, the past. Its attitudes to tasks and projects and people each day, how you talk to yourself and other people, and how you value yourself as a high-level entrepreneur, this next stage in your business. And it's got lots of other things in there, time and space and lots of other things, right? Perceptions. But if we just look at it like that, then what happens is it works like this, right? If you're, I'll explain it like this. I'm waffling on it, but I'll explain it like this. So a cheesy example, I'm going to see if it's on the next slide. There it is, buying a new car. And then we're going to go back to the previous slide. So you might have gone to buy a new car before, right? This is a cheesy example. It's an old example, but it's an effective example. How many times have you gone to buy a new car? Or even gone to look at a new car, right? And you might never seen that car before, but as soon as you do, what happens, right? You might even buy it. You might even go home with it. What happens? That's right. The damn car appears everywhere, doesn't it? So if it appears everywhere, including the car, my question is, did that car exist before you saw it? No, yes, no, yes. Of course it existed before you saw it. Of course it did, right? But your filter wasn't set to see it. Does this make sense? Right. Because as soon as you know that car's around, it appears everywhere, doesn't it? Right. So that's the same with money, success, happiness, growth, relationships, balance, everything, the scalability of your business, the money it can make, where your business partner reacts to you. Everything is connected to a muscle. It's connected to a filter. So we're going to start to change that filter. And how we do that is right here. The big decision. Big decision, right? Are you going to be a consumer or investor? And this is going to be a common theme going through all of the 8 levels. And it starts here because I really want you to make a change, right? Because we have a consumer and we have an investor, okay? The consumer version of you, that's the version that clicks the Facebook ads. That's the version of you that spends their currency. And I'll talk about the currency in a second, right? We also, that's the view of the world. That's their belief systems, their attitudes, their filter, right? And that's the muscle it's connected to that's getting bigger and bigger and thicker and thicker. Well, we need to give you a new way to see the world. We need to sit down, design, and build a world-class you. A world-class you, okay? So this world-class you sees the world completely differently, right? That muscle's big and thick and pumping. The filter system is seeing a different view of you, different perception, different life, different way they look at themselves, the future, the past, the money, success, drive, right? That muscle gets thick, that muscle gets weaker, right? And that's what we've got to do for you, because I want to introduce you to this. How are you spending your currency? Okay? Because the currency that I'm talking about is time, effort, and energy. Okay? That's currency you can never get back, right? Money comes and money comes and money comes and money goes and money comes again, right? But you can't ever get a second back. It can't happen, right? So to me, when we start going from a consumer, that's the version of you that lives in fear and spins their wheels going round and round, or looking for the home run, the golden nugget, the one big hit. The grass is always greener, always distracting or moaning or holding themselves back. They are spending their time, effort, and energy and wasting it on things, memories, thoughts, people, places, everything that doesn't serve them anymore. And the challenge is that people stay there, and then what? Well, nothing. There's wasting. There's no ROI. And the ROI is what a investor will always get a return on their investment. Okay, so this doesn't just go through business. I'm talking about everything in life. When I spoke to you at the very start and said one of the big things that what happens is with an investor or a new world-class you is that they are full of self-worth and they value their time, effort, and energy so much that it becomes easy to say no to opportunities, to shiny object syndromes, to meetings that don't serve you, to health things that don't serve you, or anything that doesn't expand or isn't in alignment with who you are and where you want to go, right? Because an investor will always get an ROI back on their money or currency, your time, effort, and energy. Okay, so I want you to really make this shift, and not just about this course, about everything in your life, right? I'll give you a quick analogy, a quick story. If you imagined a black floor, okay, and on that black floor, you had a big bucket of rice, and I come along and went, psh, tipped that all over, right? Tipped that big bucket of rice on the floor. And I laid it all out. And I explained to you this. Every one of those grains of rice is a day in your life. Right? Now let's take away sleep. So this is all the rice that you were asleep. This is all the rice when you were sick. This is all the rice when you were having horrible relationships. This is all the one when you made those mistakes. So you've taken all this grain of rice from all of this grains of rice, which is each a day in your life, and then you've got just this much rice left. And if you spread that all out, and you knew the exact amount of days that you had left on earth, would you be wasting any of them? No, absolutely not. That's an investor, okay? They invest in their time, they invest in their energy to constantly expand and grow, okay? Beautiful. So it's going to be a theme that I'm going to constantly come back to, but this is part of you making that decision today, and it's going to flow into the simulator today. So I want you to really start making this, because let's talk about this. Introducing the rule of 2 millimeters, okay? I know I've thrown a lot of information at you today. I get this. I get that. But come with me. That's why you're going to have to play full out, and you're going to have to go over this again potentially, right? So introducing the rule of 2 millimeters. So if you imagine being the captain of your ship, okay, and your focus is on the destination, right? In this case, it's becoming an 8-figure thinker, right? And that destination's way into the distance that you can't see it yet. Yet if you have the wheel and you turn it just 2 millimeters this way, right? And you keep going with the same direction, the same inertia, the same drive as you are right now, maybe with fear still, but that 2 millimeter shift, instead of it being there, we just change it to there. That's going to take you in a completely different place. It's a completely different outcome, a completely different destination. And those details are so important. That's what people miss. It's like someone winning the Olympics in a sprint. It's the tiniest mechanical details of their running and mind that change everything. It's the mechanics. It's the hundredths of a second that make the difference. The 2 millimeter rule is so important. I'll show you one thing, right? Later in the levels, you're gonna have a whole training around body language, but even look around this, right? I know it's small, but I'm gonna deflect and I'm gonna go up. I'm gonna down, I'm gonna go up, right? If I'm up like this, I want you to think about your future with your chest being right up. Think about it. Do you feel confident? Chest right up. Do you feel confident about doing blasting through the 8 figures and getting that 8-figure thinker by the end of level 8? Do you confident about that? And then think about the future. Yeah, confident, right? Now drop it. Do you feel as confident? What changed there? Something, right? Confidence, 2 millimeters. I'm going to explain that a little bit later in different sections, but I want you to understand that 2 millimeters is everything. So this is how I'm going to show you a little bit how to navigate around yourself. This is the #1 tool that I've used to live in 5 countries. It's the same one that got you here. And you master it, you can flow through life in a completely different way. You really, really can. So it's my boat analogy, okay? And it's about your guidance system, your inner guidance system. And again, I know I'm throwing a lot at you today, but I've got a lot of information to get out, right? So look at it this way. This is how I navigate through life. Head, heart, gut. Head, heart, gut. Head, heart, gut. I'll say it again. I don't need to say it again. Head, heart, gut, right? So if you imagine your heart as the vessel. Now we're going to talk about the neuroscience aspect of the heart brain later on, because something I want you to connect to. But just for today, just go with me and we'll repeat this lesson in another level. But head, heart, gut, right? Your head is like the vessel. That's the boat. That's what we must sit in. Your heart is what we want to drive you and pull you forwards, right? It's the same thing Steve Jobs has and Elon Musk has. It's all heart, right? It's not just head, it's heart. That's what pulls them when the dark times are there and the painful times. That's what drives them forwards. It's the heart. It's what we must sit in, okay? Your gut, the gut feeling, yay, good feelings. Well, those are the things like the rudder on the back of the ship that guide you in and out of danger, okay? So your head is what we program. Your head is the compass and it's the direction of where we're going, okay? So what I want you to start to get familiar with and start to play with is understanding which one is navigating you. Now, let me explain. Yeah, I'll go to that in a second. Let me explain this to you. So, how many times, I'll give you an example. How many times in the past have you gone to a job or somewhere that your head was going, you know you've got to go? For me, it was like, Andy, you know you've got to go. Andy, you know that person can open those doors, that you know you've got to go. But your gut is going, feeling sick and like, I really don't want to go. But your head is going, you know you must go, right? But your gut is going, ugh. For me, you can test this, but for me, categorically, fact, if your gut is going, ugh, right, it's wrong. Do not bother going. Value your time, effort, and energy more. Your gut is the rudder. It's going to take you in and out of danger, right? It's going to navigate you away from it. Your head is connected to what? Oh, that's right, your brainstem, your amygdala. So it's probably in the fight or flight mode. It's probably actually in the flight or freeze mode, right? So if your head is telling you yes, but your gut is like no, then you probably want to listen to your gut, right? 100% of the time. Your heart is going to want to take you in the direction, and your heart might want to get you from New York to LA. Your gut is like, well, you can walk, you can get a plane, you can drive. I wouldn't sit next to that person. I'd move around that. I wouldn't do this. That's your gut, right? Your head is going to tell you, oh, no, you should just walk. You should just walk, save the money. It'll take time, but it'll be fine. But your gut is going, no, you should take that plane and don't sit next to that person because they're crazy. Not the best example, but I want to show you how I want to start navigating life. I know that when I start to feel these feelings in a country, like my gut's like, oh, no, things keep going wrong. Then I open up my heart and find out where we're going to go. Okay? So just a little insight, becoming consciously aware, but I want to show you more about this a little later. But I want you to practice this now. Is that cool? Cool. So let's make a new decision about how you are going to live life. How is it? Are we going to play in the old? Are we going to play in the new? Are we going to stay a consumer? Or are we going to step up to the investor? Are we going to get an ROI back on everything that we do? Or are we going to just let it just continue the way it is? Are we going to allow the muscle to just play? Or are we going to take charge? Are we going to have the filter system how we want it with the right beliefs, attitudes, language, and values? Or are we going to let the old version of us take control? The decision starts now. It starts here. I can't give you that. But what I can give you is the simulator. And the simulator is going to install this new way of thinking, feeling, and acting, which we can build on for the rest of the time. So the future or the old, consumer or investor, becomes your choice. So when I talk about decision, now you understand why. So that's the end of this section. I probably recommend you maybe go over it. So let's install this next. Let's install this in the next section, because it's really cool. I know you're going to love the simulator. There is a little section at the start of the simulator which won't be in the other levels, but I want to show you the operating system of your brain. I want to give you a bit of a training, a bit of a manual, because I want to turn you into a master visualizer, because visualization is how the unconscious mind communicates. I'll leave you with one more statement. It's a quote, and I love it. Richard Branson's favorite pastime is to daydream about the future. What does that mean? Well, think about this. What have you just learned? Daydreaming, what's that? Trance. Thinking about the future, creating neural nets and possibilities, right? Adjusting his filter. So his favorite pastime is to daydream about the future. Now you know what that means, and I want you to play full out. So I will see you on the next section. So crew, there we go. The end of episode 287. Hope you loved it. Probably want to go back through it, right? I told you. But hopefully you understand why your brain is triggering right now, and understand what's being affected, the decisions that you've got to make, and everything else that goes on to have mental performance, right? You got it. You're getting the idea. So make sure you're heading over to the show notes. If you want to connect with me, make sure you're heading over to andymurphy.biz. And where else? Make sure you're hanging out with the incubator group. Come and have a chat with me. Again, go to mentoring on the website. And be prepared to jump into the FireMind experience very, very soon. You're absolutely going to love it. I know that for a fact. And I got some real cool trainings to show you all about it too. So until the next time, you have an amazing week. And oh yeah, one more thing. Why don't you smile for me?
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode of the Mindset by Design podcast with your host and NLP expert, Andy Murphy. We'll catch you next time.